Right. Now we on a TikTok. A TikTok.
I thought that.
I love it.
Welcome to the Livin Podcast, where we talk about the nuances of life. Today, on our segment, we have Brandon Van Dyke, and I am so happy to have him here. And he's going to actually talk about his journey as a solo traveler. So, Brandon, to do a little icebreaker, we're just going to kick it off with just
All right.
throwing out a couple of questions down there. All right, so some easy questions. Favorite color? Now you wearing like a tan or brown today, so
I'm wearing brown. I was actually looking for my green shirt, and it's so funny. You asked me that's the first question because I was like, "Where's my green shirt?" My favorite color is green. I love green.
Mine too.
See, and then you all have on green.
Oh my God.
oh damn. Oh, I'm sorry.
You all have on green.
Oh my god.
I love green. So growing up, my favorite color was red. But then at the firm I used to work for, she pointed it out when I was like, now my favorite color is green. And she was like, probably now you're not so hot-headed and you're so calm and zenned out now. That's probably why you're more attracted to green than you are red. I still think red is a beautiful color, but every day in and out, I love green. Green
Me
is
too. And it's so many shades. You see
so
my
many
glasses.
shades of green.
And it's just something very, I don't know, it's something cathartic about green. And I know the hospitals use like blue and teals because they
I
said
can't stand those, to be honest. It gives me like Golden Girls. It gives me like back in the day.
too much, right? Too much,
It's
you
too
think?
much. It's
That-
too much.
Or it can be all white, which is kind of clinical.
Or like that off-white, like the eggshell. It gives
Yeah.
I love eggshell now. I'll
See,
take the
As an outfit,
mm-hmm.
but not on the walls.
Mm-hmm.
I do love shades of grays too. I love shades of grays.
Shades of gray,
I love shades of grays.
That's
But
right.
top tier green is for me, especially emerald. Emerald is my favorite shade of green.
All right, so the next one, what is your favorite season? I mean, this might be an easy one, but I don't know.
Fall.
Well,
Fall.
tell me
Fall.
why.
I love pumpkin spice, coats, boots,
Sweater.
sweaters, smelling like cafes, like what they're baking in the air. I don't like it too hot. I don't like it too cold. I think fall is perfect. I love spring too, but spring brings pollen and it messes with my allergies. So I get sneezing like crazy. So fall. I love fall. Love fall.
All right. Favorite food?
Ooh. I would say sushi. I have to say sushi. I can eat sushi day, night, cold, hot. I have to say sushi for sure.
And it's easy because it's not heavy, grab and go, and it's a perfect meal.
It's perfect.
We're gonna keep going. Favorite state to visit? Now you can either say this is your favorite state that you recommend, or is it your favorite state in general?
The Great North. What are we talking about? The Great I love
Nancy, so you're from Chi-Town, right? You're from Chicago?
actually South Carolina. I'm from South Carolina.
And
I love South Carolina.
New York was his thing. Like he just had this vision of coming to New York. You know how people have this vision of going to California, LA. Brandon had this vision of settling here in New York. So New York. So,
New York, hands down. And everyone would tell you how biased I am when it comes to New York. Anyone says anything about New York, I'll be like, what was that?
Well, it sounds like you want to be the mayor because we need one.
Yo,
Hello. Did you like
I'm
to be?
go ahead and just
Okay, let's keep going. So, right, you have to choose land, sea, air, or boat. Which one?
air.
Okay. Yeah.
Down.
So here we go. Famous person, dead or alive. Who would you like to travel with and why?
Now this is hard. Dead or alive, who would I like to travel with?
And this question is really important because the topic is your journey as a solo traveler. So I would like to.
And that's what makes it hard because it's like I really don't care to travel with other people. Dead or alive, who would I like to travel with? Ooh. Okay. I'm gonna have to say Rihanna.
Whoa.
I feel like anywhere you go with Rihanna, it's going to be an amazing time.
Yeah.
She's gonna be down to get food off the truck for $2. She's gonna be down to go to the fancy restaurants.
This is true.
Exactly. Like she's so versatile. Like
Yeah.
good spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say Rihanna. I feel like she blends in anywhere. She's like a chameleon. I would have to say Rihanna.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
But then you know what? Let's just get this started. So please, Brendan, tell us about your journey as a solo traveler. But before I begin, Nancy, did you have any questions that you wanted to ask Brendan before we kick off the?
I have no questions to ask you other than, I'm really fascinated with the whole idea of traveling by myself because sometimes I feel like I'm missing out on things, a lot of things. And it's just that if I would just buy that plane ticket and just go. And I had a girlfriend, she did that about almost 2 years ago. And she said it was amazing. She had such a great time. And I think she was going for about a week. And she worked with a travel agent and, they ensured that she was, it was secure. They found a very secure place, location. And she felt very safe there. And she was able to meditate and reflect and just, rest and enjoy the island, the beach. She said she felt very safe. And I'm like, I think everyone needs to do that. Maybe not just one time, maybe 2 or 3 times out of a year, just get away by yourself.
I could not agree more. So my journey is solo travel. So the first country I ever went to was Cuba. When Cuba was opened up for everyone to go, I went there, but I was with someone. So we went. It was an okay trip, but I'm like, okay. The second trip I went on was to Toronto, and it was on Canada Day. So it's like our 4th of July.
Oh, wow.
Great time. I'm like, there's still things that I wanted to do, but you have to consider others. So when I moved to Chicago, O'Hare being right there, I was like, I want to go someplace that is not well traveled. Like it's not known. You don't hear many people going. I want to go someplace where I'm going to have a complete experience, nothing holding me back, just get up and go. So I have an obsession with maps and flags. So I remember in my apartment in Chicago, I had this huge wooden map on my wall. And I was on my couch and I was like, okay, this was 2018. For my birthday, I'm going someplace. I don't know where it is, but I'm going to choose randomly. So then I was like, I don't know if I necessarily want to choose randomly. I was like, let's think about this for a second. I was like, I don't know if I necessarily want to do that. I was like, Brandon, just choose randomly. cover your eyes, and just put your hand on the map. Wherever your finger lands, that's where you're going, buy the ticket. So it landed on South Africa. I am so happy my finger landed on South Africa. Let me tell you something. I bought the ticket. One, it was like fairly cheap. I think for round trip, it was like $600 something.
Oh, wow.
From O'Hare to Istanbul and then Johannesburg and back. So
Nice.
it was fairly cheap. When I bought the ticket, I was like, you know what? This is going to be great. I don't really hear anyone traveling in South Africa. Out of both sides of my family, I'm the first person to even touch the continent in any way. So I was like, this is very important for me because you hear a lot of stereotypes when it comes to the continent of Africa as a whole and how people live. And I was like, there's no way that people, are like that throughout this whole entire society. Go there, my heart melts. I remember texting my brother, and I was looking out the window when I touched down in Joburg, and I was like, for some reason, this feels like home. Like it just
Mhm.
feels like very calming. Like I feel, okay, I'm here. I go to the what do you call it, the customs counter where they check your passport.
Mhm.
And I remember she took my passport and she looked at me and she kind of like held it. And I was like, okay, does she find something wrong? So she looks through it and she was like, so you've never been here before? I was like, no, ma'am. She was like, so you've never been to the continent of Africa? And I was like, no, ma'am. She looks up at me, hands it back with another firm grip, and she says, welcome home, because she could see that my passport obviously says United States of America. And she could see that there were no other stamps in the passport of any African nation. So by her saying welcome home, that was like the start of the most beautiful experience. Fun
Mm.
fact, this experience that I had in South Africa when I applied to University of Cape Town for my master's program a few years ago, I wrote about my experience going there for the first time. I got in, but then COVID started changing a lot of stuff. I was like, well, won't be doing that. But it was an amazing experience, and I didn't realize how much I started to learn about the country and the people, but how much I learned about myself, about being lost, getting lost, having no fear of getting lost, knowing that you're safe. Because if I'm a Black man in America and I feel safe here, why shouldn't I feel safe around my own people?
Mm. That's
Why
right.
shouldn't I feel safe around people that I could look at literally in this beautiful nation and I could tell you someone that looks exactly like them in my family or in my friend circle or anything of that nature? Beautiful experience, started to learn things about myself. Like, how do I, interact with others when I have no common denominator between us? You don't know anything about me. I don't know anything about you, but we're going out here to have a great time. But then also you realize through conversation how parallel our lives really are. Even
Mhm.
though they were born and raised on the other side of the earth, I was born and raised on the other side of the earth. What we grew up experiencing, what we're taught through generations and how we interact with people, you're like, wow,
Mm.
this, so we're not so different after all. We're not so
Mhm.
different after all. And I remember coming back from South Africa, um, there were so many people that would ask me, like, you didn't feel unsafe, you didn't feel this. And I'm like, you have to realize when we wake up in our own community, you wake up, you fix breakfast, you go to work, you go home, you wait for the weekend, you go have fun on the weekend. Sunday evening comes, and you're like, I gotta go back to work.
Mhm.
People there doing the same thing. They're literally doing the same thing. They got kids, they're hollering at their kids, they do their homework, sit down and eat their dinner, put your bike up, go
Yeah.
clean your room. All this boss is getting on my nerves. Everyone is doing the same thing.
Right. Right.
So what is there to me for me to be afraid of?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Absolutely nothing. Um,
So, Brandon, are you journaling on this journey? So, like, are you like recording your adventures I mean, because it doesn't go as far as your brain, like, sharing that experience as you describe it. I would love to see it on video, or if you wrote a book, have you
Oh
thought
my
about
God.
one?
If I, how can I say this? I take a lot of pictures. I'll say that. That's how I document. I'm not too big on video, but I take a lot of pictures. Like in my iCloud right now, I think I have almost 27,000 pictures
Wow.
of everywhere I've been, every moment, food, people, things, and it stretches all the way back, I think, to 2015.
Now, Brandon, you mentioned just now that you lived in Africa for a short time. I hear that when it comes to food, it's very difficult, like, as far as, to get, like, food delivered and things like that. Is that the case? Like, 'cause I believe we do have Amazon, right?
Yes, South
Yeah.
Africa is very modern. Uh,
Mhm,
it's not now you do have your areas that's far, 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 far out,
mhm,
but places like Port Elizabeth, Joburg, Pretoria, Durban, Cape Town,
mhm.
like those are all places that are very popular. It's I don't know why anyone would think that you can't get food delivered out. It's just
No,
like,
I think when it's time to order, like, any type of online items, like, it has to
oh,
quote
Um,
and
I'm
it
I'm sure it could take longer
yeah.
Mhm,
to get
mhm,
down there. I don't think
mhm.
it's impossible. I've never heard of anyone having issues with getting things delivered. I just know it takes longer, obviously, because there are no distribution centers there and everything like that, like what we have here in the US. Um, but yeah,
Mhm.
I just know it takes longer, but it's not impossible. You just gotta have patience. And hopefully you don't have to return it.
Mhm.
'Cause if you gotta return it, that's a whole different thing.
Wow.
That's a whole different thing if you
It's a
gotta,
keeper.
is it
Yeah,
right? Look, I'm gonna
paying
keep this. I'm not waiting another 3 weeks.
paying for, I guess, shipping, right, would
Mm,
be expensive?
Yeah. So I that's the only thing. But access to everything you could think of that you could get here, you could get there.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
So, from Africa, where was your next stop? Or let's pause that for a second. You mentioned that you was traveling with someone during this trip.
Mhm.
What happened where you said, "You know what? I just can't. I need to just start going by myself." Like, what happened where you said, "You know what? I'm just gonna start doing it solo."
So it's incident at the US Canadian border.
Okay.
Um this individual was a recreational user of a certain type of um
Okay. Yeah.
you know, fun
Yes.
item.
Yes, right.
We should
Okay.
say.
Yeah.
I will never, ever travel with you or anybody else
Mhm.
again
Okay.
because you don't know somebody until they get to a border and they got to be straight about their past. And I'm sitting there,
That is not the time you wanna find out.
It's not the time.
I'm going to Florida.
Oh my
I've been in Wyoming, Arizona, but you wanted to cross a border as a felon.
That is that's crazy. That is so crazy.
Done.
Yes.
I was done.
Yeah.
But after that, I will say, out of that moment, we did have a great time in Canada, in Toronto to be exact, because when we showed up, the day we showed up, it was Canada Day. And as everyone knows, Canada, I mean, Toronto has a huge Caribbean population. So it was a lot of soca music, a lot of Caribbean food going on. You had so much happening. It kind of like took away the initial,
Right.
interaction of getting into Canada.
Right.
But I'll tell you right now, the Canadian border, they don't play at
Mhm.
all. They do not play. So that is the moment where I knew for me, I know what I have and have not done.
Right.
I cannot answer for anyone else. So to mitigate that, I'm not playing those games.
Well,
Not.
Brandon, you know what? You got to get a checklist of questions if you bring someone with you next time, and then you just make them answer all those questions so you know beforehand.
But you mean you gotta vet your guests?
Yes.
Oh my God. Then they might as well stay there but home then.
Right. You might as well stay home.
Stay home.
If
If
you're
you got
coming
it,
with
Oh.
me.
if I look at you hesitate with question 3,
Mhm.
don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Right.
Go ahead and give me that. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Rip it up.
Rip it up.
Rip it up.
It was a game I was playing. It was a game.
So, sh
What's
sh
that?
share, you know what? Share an interesting story. I mean, I know that was interesting, but share a story, a moment that you wouldn't forget. I mean, maybe a teachable moment that you can actually share with the audience where, hey, if you want to be a solo traveler, this is what not to do.
Um, I have one, and it's something we're taught as a kid not to do. But as an adult, I did it with no regards to anything I was taught. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're gonna have me explain what not to do
Yeah,
as a solo
listen,
traveler.
just keep it simple, you
Okay.
know.
In a foreign country, do not get in a car that is not a taxi or a part of a car service. And I'm saying that because in Paris, I stayed in an area called Gentilly, which is like south of central Paris. So there was a club I wanted to go to, but it was like further south. There were no trains that went down there. So they told me at the front desk that I had to get a car. But the only thing is, coming back up late at night when the club closes would be hard because Ubers are not down there at that time. So I was like, you know what? I'll figure it out, whatever. I was like, just call the car. So they called the car, like 40 minutes passed. It took a while. And I remember them telling me that my taxi was outside. I walked through the door, go onto like the sidewalk area to get into the taxi. He sees me and speeds off. And the vehicle goes around the block. And I mean, like, he's taking off like fast. So I'm like, okay, I'll wait for him to come up on the other side because they were one-way streets. So I walk to the other side of the building and I see this vehicle coming up and I wave my hand and this guy pulls up who is not the taxi driver, but I did not know that in the moment. He rolls down his window and he asked me, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm trying to get to this club." And that's south of the city, and I point to it on the map. And he was like, "Oh yeah, that's going to be hard to get back up here." He was like, "But don't worry, I'll take you." You would think in your right mind, specifically as a black people, we'll be like, "What is wrong with you? What is wrong?" There were so many signs that you could think of that would have been like, "Brandon, do not get in that
Exactly.
car."
Hello.
Guess what I did?
Your ass got in the car.
I got in the car because I wanted to go party in the
You
south of
Your
Paris.
priorities were all
Oh.
messed up because 'cause you're like, "Okay,
In a whole different country,
yes,
been there for 5 days already. Barely got any money left because I think I went to Paris with $300 to my name. I went like I was staying in a hostel, like I was like living on a budget. So if something was to happen, where you gonna go? How you gonna get out? How people gonna find you? Number
Okay,
one.
wait a minute. Paris was your second trip? Which
Paris
trip?
was, hold on, Cuba, Canada, Turkey, South Africa.
No, I don't think Paris was your second.
No, I think Paris
No.
was like 6 or 7.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
you
I
were
think,
just confident. You were
yeah,
confident
yeah, I think
that
Paris was like 6 or 7. No, even further than that, because I went to Amsterdam and Romania before that, because that was in 2020. So yeah, that was, I want to say Paris was like maybe 9 or 10.
you were confident.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
at
I
that
You
was
didn't think,
confident.
he's a
I was
he's a
yeah,
confident.
veteran,
bet.
he's a veteran solo traveler. So he
Right.
Yeah.
I'm a veteran. So what's gonna happen to me?
yes, exactly. He was carrying that.
So let's be a little edgy, you know?
Right. Why not? We're
Why
already
not?
here. Smoke my fake cigarette. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go
What
for
could
it. Go
possibly
for it.
happen? First off, this man's tenant windows was so dark.
Oh,
You could not, like, literally, you ever see those movies where people get in a seat and then somebody comes up behind them and puts a rag on their face to like pass them out because it has a substance? That literally could have happened to me in Paris. So I get in the car and he was like, well, that place is kind of far. He was like, let me think about it. He was like, have you ever been to Pigalle? And I was like, where's Pigalle? He was like, it's on the north side of the city, kinda. But he was like, have you ever heard of Moulin Rouge? I was like, yeah. He was like, that's where that club is. It's like that show club area is in Pigalle. And he was like, it's a huge area with a lot of clubs, discos, bars, all that you could think of is in Pigalle. But it's also easier to get back to where you're coming from because there's a shuttle that leaves at 5, 6 a.m. to bring people back to this side of the city. And I was
mm,
like, okay. And this guy was French. He was clearly French, but he spoke good enough English to where we could have a conversation. So I get in the car and he was like, I got to go by the ATM. You would think that's another red flag. Sir, why are you in this car?
oh,
Me in here? Disregard. So as he's
Mm.
driving and he starts asking me about, how am I enjoying Paris and all these other things, and I'm like, oh, it's great. Not knowing you living in danger right now, for real.
you
You
in
just out
danger.
here, girl, you in danger, girl. You're in danger, girl.
You in danger.
You are in danger out here gallivanting,
No.
just lollygagging, just out here.
With the
You know how
dark
they say you have
windows.
that angel sitting on top of you that say, your shoulder that say, Brandon, don't do it, don't do it. I guess
Right.
that didn't happen.
Yeah, they was off that day. They was
Oh,
off that day. They wasn't on the schedule that
oh, they weren't
night.
on the schedule. Oh,
They wasn't on the schedule that night. Everything bad that could have happened, they was in full effect. They was on that night shift that night.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
They were on the
well,
night
thank
shift
God it
that night.
worked out. Thank God it worked out for you.
That's right.
It did.
Thank
He
God.
was a very nice guy. And when he was driving me to Big Al, he was like, I'm on my way to a Tinder date, and that's her apartment right there. And I was like, you were really going to take me to this club area and be late for your Tinder date? He was like, no, she's fine. She knows that I'm on the way. But he was like, yeah, I just want to make sure that you're safe. So he gives me his phone number, everything to get in contact with him. And he was like, look, if anything happens, you call me. I'm leaving here and I'm coming to get you. He was like, let me know throughout the night how everything is going and that you're safe, and let me know when you get back to your hostel in Gentilly. And I was like, you know what, fine. He drops me off. And Pigalle that night felt like you were in Times Square. How many people? Again, this is prior to COVID. Actually, this is happening right as COVID started to emerge because this is January of 2020. So it's like right before COVID emerged. Like people knew about it, but it wasn't a thing. So everyone was still out and about and everything. it was like standing in Times Square that night. It was so many people. So I realized there was a club that I was hearing soca music come from. So I walked downstairs into the club, and I mean, they was getting down in that club. I mean, down in there having a ball. And I'm like, okay, is there an upstairs? And he was like, yeah, you should go up there. It's a whole salsa club upstairs. No one speaks a lick of English, only French and Spanish, but everyone's salsa dancing. I was like, this is beautiful to
Mm.
see. So I dance salsa. I've been doing it since 2009.
Let me find out you got yourself.
Yeah, I dance salsa. So I've been doing that since like 2009. So when I got on the dance floor, they were kind of like, who is who is this? Like we've never seen this person before. Again, we didn't
So,
communicate much, but we had a ball in that club that night. And surely enough, we got on the people that were at the club. We got on the some of them that spoke English. They told me where the shuttle was, which was like right down the street to get back to Gentilly. Went back to the hostel, had an amazing time. But bottom line, don't get into the car that's not a taxi or a car service in a country. Please do not do that. I just had the favor of God over me in that moment.
You know what's so interesting? Because as you tell a story, we immediately think that that was a dark thing, like it's not good. But it could have actually been God sending an angel to protect you. So like in that scenario, when you talk about it, it was like, wait a minute, it's a dark tent, car, late at night, stranger. You immediately say, why would you even put yourself in that situation? However, in a foreign place, maybe that was your actual angel there protecting you.
You
So
know, I never thought about that, Demetria.
yeah, yeah. Because the reason if from a I want to say like not even like biblical, but when you think about like a spiritual, things kind of happen in your life. You really can't describe it until when you kind of like process it and think about it and say, you know what, maybe it could have been a good thing. Like, it could have, I mean, well, it could have been really wrong, but it didn't go wrong. But when you think about the
Right.
scenario, it was the outcome was beautiful.
Because again, who knows what could have happened if I did go to that club in the south of France and couldn't, in the south of Paris and couldn't come back.
Right. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah.
But to tap onto the faith aspect, I'm a firm believer. I pray for God's discernment in the right moment, not a moment sooner, not a moment later, but in the right moment where I need to know. And in that moment, I didn't feel any fear. I didn't feel
Right.
like, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, like you should not do this. You're about to step into something. It was very calm. So, Demetria, you make a good point. That could have been your angel right there, making sure you got to someplace safe and not that place that was further away.
Mhm.
well,
Mhm.
see, Brandon, I can tell you have a lot of faith. The
Mhm.
fact that you're traveling alone,
Oh, exactly. Nancy, you are
you
right.
you are trusting God. You are
Oh, God.
trusting. Your faith is strong
Oh,
because
you.
and then to step in and say, "You know what? I'm going to go over here. I'm going to have myself a good time. This is how much money I have, and it's going to work for me." And
Mhm.
God allowed it to work for you.
Mhm.
Okay.
You said it out loud, you went for it, you achieved it. Why wouldn't you be protected?
Mhm. Mm,
You
mm,
know?
mm, mm.
Sometimes it's just that simple, and he loves us just that much.
Mhm.
So your
Mhm.
faith is strong all the way. To travel by yourself, you
Mhm.
have, you said the little angel was off. No, I think they stepped it up.
That's the right, exactly.
They said, because this
So we
boy ain't
gonna
got
be
no
we
sense.
gonna be human tonight.
Yo, right?
Yes, 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 yes.
We gonna
Oh
be
my
human.
Some of y'all, I need y'all to come in here. This boy done lost his mind.
Oh God. I need
Uh-oh.
to phone a favor.
Right.
We got to jump in. We got to jump in right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
You
We need
know, we
some
going to
we
jump
need
in.
some more on this ship because this boy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon's
So,
in. He is in.
Brandon, I know. I mean, you didn't rambled off a few places you didn't travel, so I don't even know where we go with this. But what advice? Well, two things. If you decide to travel to another country, how do you decide where to go? Like, do you just close your eyes, just point on the map, and you just say, "I'm going," or is there like a bucket list you have that decide your next stop? How does that work as far as your next destination? And I'm not talking about like the US, we're talking about globally.
So I typically choose a place where, for the most part, there's not a lot of internal conflict. Like, I don't want to be someplace where you could get caught up in like a warfare within the country and now you
Well,
are stuck.
well, that's Haiti. They're telling people do not travel to Haiti right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to, but I will say this. I will say this. If you look at some of the countries that are listed on the State Department as a no-go,
Yeah.
I don't know how to necessarily say this in the political way, but
No,
this is
I want you to share is like I understand where you're going, but I want you to share because I have a question about that. When you do, because obviously uh we coordinate travel and we use those maps, where they have like do not travel, do
right.
not go in your hotel here. So yes, tell me
I
your thoughts about that.
I feel like, for me personally, and this is from my experience, so whoever may take the soundbite in the future, whatever, I feel like certain countries that you go to are more dangerous for people that don't look like us than us. And I see that
Mhm.
because if
Mm.
throughout time, when you look at the State Department of how they have categorized Cuba, it's
Yeah.
definitely a no-go. But
Mhm.
when I went to Cuba,
Mhm.
oh my gosh,
What
like, the
person said?
people were beautiful,
Yep.
opened their homes, and I had an Airbnb in a middle class neighborhood. I wasn't at a resort or a hotel, anything like that. Like, people were literally going to work the next day. So helpful, cook for us, everything. And
Mhm.
then you start to realize the political, how can I say this? Basically the political BS that we are fed, is
Mm.
it necessarily for the protection of us, or is it for the protection of others who have had not so good intentions? If you
Mm.
can read between the
No,
lines,
yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
because
Mhm. Mhm.
there are a lot of places that, as a Black man, I have been and
Mhm.
I felt completely safe. But you
Mhm.
have others that go there and they tend to experience something else.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
for me, I the biggest thing for me is to go back to the question, is there like an internal warfare? Like, are they really at war with each other, like shooting, bombing, all that stuff? Like I'm not going to go there. But
Yeah.
for the most part, like a place that I would love to go is St. Petersburg and Moscow in Russia. I would
Mhm.
love to go there because outside of the political stuff, like I said before, people are living their own lives over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even during I don't want to say this, but even when the bombing is taking place, people are still, like you said, are living. People are still working, going to school, despite, I mean, they're a lot. I mean, what do? You just stay home and don't do anything? And bombing can be happening a few miles away, so it's very interesting. But again, I'm sorry to cut you off.
I would love to go there. Because I just want to see it for myself. There's so much that you're fed through media and through books that other people have read. That's only at the account of their experience.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to exercise caution, like, okay, what you're reading, is this really someplace I should decide to go to now, or could I
Mm,
wait? But if
mhm,
you're not seeing anything that's putting you in imminent danger, like you
mhm.
could get there and literally use your life, and it's just political, and they're talking about, oh, these people over there, this, that, and the other, they could be the same saying the same thing about us over here
Right.
and telling people, well, don't go to the United States because cops are shooting black people in the streets every single day. But we're
What I was
out in a place where I know that the US consulate is easy to get to. Other
Mm,
thing, I don't veer too far off to where trying to get to the consulate or the embassy
mhm.
is like extremely hard. It's a task. That's
Right.
why I try to stay in cities that are the capital or close to the capital. I
Right.
don't go too far off to where it's like you're like in desolate lands, like it's remote. I don't.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
you,
again, because I'm traveling by myself, I have to use common sense here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mostly stay in like major areas or aside
mhm,
the major areas.
mhm. What about Dubai? Have you gone to Dubai? Would you like to travel to Dubai?
No, I have not gone to UAE at all. The closest I've been there is Doha, Qatar,
Qatar.
and in Kuwait City, Kuwait. Those are the only two places that I've been to that are close in
Mhm.
that region. Uh, Dubai is not necessarily Dubai or Abu Dhabi is not necessarily at the top of my list. Where I
Okay.
really want to go to is Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, because I know
Mhm,
that Saudi Arabia is really building up their infrastructure to be this hub like Dubai. And
mhm,
I think they're on a great road to doing that.
mhm,
So Medina, Riyadh, I
mhm,
would love to go to Mecca. I know there are religious surroundings of that city, but I want to experience it myself so I can tell my kids and share with my family of how it is on the account of me, not what you read in a book with some political influence or anything like that. Like if you bring up Saudi Arabia to some people, they would think like, oh my gosh, this country's the worst and this, but you have so many American expats that are moving over there.
mhm. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is a part of the Nation of Islam.
Mhm.
I had the chance to see him twice. He came to my campus, Bowie State University, and then I saw him in Philadelphia. And when he came to Bowie State, he said this profound moment, and it hit me like a ton of bricks when I was in Istanbul. He said, how many of my Muslim brothers and sisters have read both the Quran and the Bible? All of their hands went up. He said, okay, how many of my Christian brothers and sisters have read both the Bible and the Quran? None of our hands went up. That right there was a disconnect where I'm like, wait a minute. If we're all formed in the same geographical area, how does one recognize one, but it's not done the other way?
Mm.
I see this diagram, all these people that you hear of in the Bible, how they're connected to all these people that are mentioned in the Quran.
Mm,
And I'm thinking to myself, this was never taught to us growing up, or even as an adult. You never hear the two crossing in their coexistence and the
Mhm.
teaching of one another.
Mhm.
You rarely hear that. And I'm not going to get into people's faiths and the nitpicking. I'm not going to do that. I'm saying this from my experience and how it was an eye opener to travel and being
mhm.
able to see, yes, you were taught that, but this is what it is because you are here. You're
Yeah.
seeing it for yourself. That connection is here for yourself. And that moment for me, when Louis Farrakhan said that, to the moment I saw that diagram and in Istanbul, mind blowing, mind blowing for me.
I mean, I love to speak to my Muslim sisters and brothers and try to make comparisons. Sometimes, I really do want to learn more, read more about the Quran, but I'm trying to get through this
The
Bible here. I attended a bar mitzvah and I was so excited to go. and experiencing it, and it was beautiful. I mean, just like how all that stuff they're reading and reciting, I'm like, wait, how did he remember retain all that stuff? And he's reading, then some of it he's doing by himself. And
Mhm.
it was just a beautiful experience. And I'm just like, God is in so many different things that we get to experience. And then yet we have this divide. And I don't understand. Uh I think I do understand the divide a little bit because the devil is busy, and to not have people align on the same accord, or my religion is better than your religion and all that other stuff. But I just find it interesting to learn about different religions.
I am a firm believer that all roads lead to the same place. I'm a firm believer if you are insatiable when it comes to knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
know that I know this much, but there's so much more that I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Realize through
Mm-hmm.
time, we're all talking about the same God.
Yeah. Well, he said he will be named by called many names, right? He will be known by many names,
Many names. Mhm.
you
And
know?
I remember my grandmother going off on me one time when I said, I was having a conversation with her, and I just said God's name in Arabic. Obviously, it's Allah. And
Mhm.
Mhm.
she blew a gasket. She
Right?
had a
Right.
nit in that house. And I'm like, I don't understand what you're so frustrated about. No, that's not God. And I'm like, you can't say that because that's showing a level of ignorance, number one. Two, and I know that's my grandmother and I love her dearly, but she's still a human being. You
Right.
can still be a grandmother and still be wrong. You
Right.
can still be a father and still be wrong. And I'm like, just because it's not in your language of what you recognize doesn't mean it's not true. Doesn't mean it
Mhm.
doesn't still stand, as firmly as you believe in yours. Well, God
Right.
is this and that and the other. And I said, you could say that within Christianity, and someone on the opposite side can say the exact same thing.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
And
know,
just as
thing.
firmly as you do.
Yes.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
so beautiful because our grandparents and great grandparents, they're a wealth of information. But however, the world and our generation is just so full and open where the perspective is so I have to say I'm very thankful for it because it's like, you know, my son is 21. His perspective on things is very different than mine, my mom's, my grandmother. It's a different world and they see
Yeah.
things very differently. It's a human race, you know?
Mhm.
So
Mhm. Mhm.
that's the beautiful part is that we're at a point where we wanna know, and we wanna reach, and we wanna share, you know?
Mhm.
Even
Mhm.
even though people still wanna separate. But, I wanna say this, it's already like 4:44, not that I'm looking at the clock, and we can probably stay here and just carry on this conversation forever because we didn't even touch on other questions I had. So we definitely have to see how we can revisit, do a part two or something. But the two questions I did want to end with, Nancy, I don't know if you had something else you wanted to cover or ask Brandon, because this conversation has even gone deep. It even went deep as far as spiritual and travel and journal. And I mean, so it,
Well, it's a spiritual journey.
yeah,
Julia Roberts had did the movie Eat, what is it? Eat, Love, and Pray.
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. Pray
It,
love. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's a spiritual. It's all
Yeah,
spiritual.
yeah,
Especially when you take it on yourself to say, "Look, I'm gonna go over here, and I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to get on a plane, and I'm going to meet with folk, and I'm going to, submerge myself in various cultures."
okay,
And you're trusting God to
mhm,
cover you, and you want that experience. But I mean, when you read all the stories like in the Bible, and you hear of all the people roaming about in the deserts and going over here, I don't know how long it took them to get to different areas, but these were traveling folk.
yeah. Yes,
They did not stay in one place.
They did not stay. Like we had these houses
Like
and our
my
places,
aunt
and
used
we
to my
just
aunt used to call me
stayed.
a gypsy. Is it a
We
gypsy?
planted, rooted in. Nope. They like, I got this bag. Here are my things. I'm going to live over here.
Right.
Mhm.
I'm in France tomorrow, and then I'm going to make my way on down to Spain in about another 3 or 4 weeks. And that's how they live. And they would take their family. They'd have their kids with them, their wives, their significant other, their spouses, their husbands. They would take everybody with them.
Mhm.
But we're
Mhm.
stuck on this. We're stuck. I feel like society has taught us, you stay in your home and you stay in one place, and that's okay. No,
Yeah,
there's so
that was
much.
never gonna work for me. That
No, enjoy it. Enjoy it. Continue.
Yep. I
You
always
gonna
knew.
write a book? You gonna write a book?
Oh my gosh. If y'all ask me to
Okay,
write,
we're not gonna ask you no
Yeah.
more. We're not gonna ask you.
He gonna write a book.
You're gonna write a book. The question I did want to ask you. So going back to the famous person living or no longer here, if you can pick someone, select someone, think of someone. Let's not do Rihanna again. If you could think of someone that you would like to dine with, right? So the questions I want you to ask and answer is pick the person. Where would you like to dine? Like where would you like to dine? It could be like a geographical place or restaurant. And what would be the first question you would ask them?
so
So, yeah,
this
so please.
is very interesting. Who I would love to, and she's no longer here, is Jackie Onassis. I
Wow.
would love to sit down on the French Riviera somewhere in Cannes, Saint Tropez, Monaco, Nice, someplace like that. To me, Jackie Onassis has always been the epitome of class. That woman,
Mm-hmm.
even in the moment
Mm-hmm.
of distress and horror, this
Mm-hmm.
woman held herself together. And the first thing I want to ask her is, when your husband's head got blown up like that in that moment, what
Mm-hmm.
made you think to not catch him and to jump on the back of that vehicle and grab the pieces of his head as if you could put it back together? What was going through your head in that moment?
That is that's
Because that's the type of love right there that I strive to have for someone, even in the moment where I know I can't fix this,
right,
I'm going to at least try.
right,
Because if you
right.
play the clip back, she
Yeah.
jumps on the back of the car and
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
starts grabbing the pieces
Yeah.
Yeah.
of his head.
Yeah. Even
That,
even when she was on the plane with her dress was saturated with blood, she still was very strong and I mean, yes, Brandon, you amaze me with the deep I didn't even think that you was going to even mention Jackie O and that situation and that question. I'm thankful that you shared that. And as we I'm good. And as we wrap this up, please share with us one good word or one note or a favorite word or a term or something you want to something positive. Just close it with a positive note. Brandon, it was such a pleasure having you. I'm really thankful for this session. And Nancy, I'm pretty sure she feels the same way. Please, Nancy, share something. But as we
I,
wrap it, please share something.
I'm gonna share something. Just a very uh quick something that I've been meditating on, and it's a scripture. I was looking for confidence. I was having some issues with my confidence last week. It's something I needed to revisit, and in my meditative state, the Lord led me to this Psalm 71. It's pretty lengthy, but read it when you get a chance. But it's all about having confidence and restoring and the Lord just carrying you through from being a baby to now. And I was fascinated with it. But I'm gonna quote probably a few verses of it. Psalm 71, and it says, "In thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. Let me never be put to confusion. Deliver me in thy righteousness and cause me to escape. Incline thine ear unto me and save me. Be thou my strong habitation, whereunto I may continually resort. Thou hast given commandment to save me, for thou art my rock and my fortress." I just, I'm trying to find peace and confidence. And this right here, this segment right here, just is kind of like rolled in there. This Psalm 71, because I've always wanted to travel by myself and just missed the trip, darn it. But it wouldn't have been by myself though, but it would have been without my husband and my son. But I'm gonna definitely try to make that happen for myself sooner than later.
I love that. You should. You
I
should. You'll
am.
be
I
amazed
am.
on how much you're going to reflect because you don't do it consciously, but you're going to have things that play throughout your life while you're, and I think the most peaceful place you could be is 35,000 feet in the air. Nobody can get to you. I'm sorry. Nobody can get to you. Why is it
Mm,
loud? Hold on one second. One second. Let me close this because I don't want that ding to happen again.
We don't hear anything.
Oh, you don't hear anything. Oh, perfect. All right. So you're going to play in your head of all the things you did right, all the things you did wrong, what you could have said better, how can I do this better? But all of that is what makes you you. And in those moments, especially on a long flight, you'll realize that God makes no mistakes. There's no mistake in
mhm,
who you are. You're
mhm,
perfectly made in who you are. I don't
mhm,
care who social media tries to put in front of us as somebody that we need to be like, because at the end of the day, those are humans too. You
mhm.
just see them through one lens. You do not know these people when they go
That's
home
right. That's right. That's
at
right.
all. You
That's right.
are enough. And I always
Mhm,
pray, like I said earlier, God, to order my steps in your word, not a
mhm,
moment sooner and not a moment later. And I emphasize that part because sometimes we think we're ready for something and you're really not. You're
Mm,
not ready for it.
mhm.
You're not ready for it. And God is never late. I'm a living testimony. God is never late. Don't give me something that I'm not ready for yet.
Mm,
Hold me, lead me, guide me. So in that right moment, I know how to nurture it. I know how to take care of it. I know how to make it grow and I know how to protect it. And I
that's
know
right.
who it came from.
That's right. That's right.
Nothing on this earth was given by man and no man can take it away. I
That's
don't care
right.
what anyone says.
Mhm,
Second
mhm,
part, that's my first thing. And then the second thing is a quote from Jim Carrey from a commencement ceremony. I think I always mess up the university's name. It's like Mahershari or Mahershari, something like that. But he said in his speech, he said, "How will you serve the world? What do they need that your talent can provide? So that the
mhm,
effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is." So it's using yourself and being vulnerable and being that vehicle to make others' lives better.
mm.
mhm,
Whether it
mhm,
be
mhm.
it doesn't necessarily have to be, related to money because a lot of people think, oh, I can make your life better by money. There are a lot of things that money cannot solve.
Oh, a lot of
There's
things.
a lot of things money cannot solve.
Right.
And those of us who live in New York City, you see billionaires all the time, stressed, haven't seen their families in how long, going through a divorce. Like kids don't like them. They didn't raise their
And they're not happy.
and
So,
they're not happy. So I had to learn through so many experiences, like you chasing a dollar amount is not going to make you happy. That's not fulfilling because you get there, then what?
Mm,
You have it now, so then what? What are you gonna do?
mhm.
So that saying from Jim Carrey is always being of service to people around you, your community, whether they're people that come in contact with you directly or indirectly. Sometimes people are watching you and you have no idea. You have no idea how you said something funny and that made them laugh and that made their day. You have no idea how you ran into someone on the train and you just sat beside them, and just that one simple conversation had a change on their life from them on. And they'll always remember you for that. So again, so that the value, oh my gosh, how did I say that? Anyway,
Serving
huh?
others. So you're saying that, we should be like serving others. Your
Serve
value
others.
comes from serving.
Yes, that is what I can leave you with, because you'll be amazed in the fulfillment that you have when you change someone's life. When a certain word impacted them and they remember it forever. I'm seeing that because there are people who have poured into me, and I'm seeing that because of feedback that I've gotten back from others that I've poured into. And if that is something I just hope that our society can carry on, we're slowly, I'm not going to say you'll fix all the world's problems because I don't think that's possible, but you can make someone's life different just by a little bit. And once you do that by a little bit, you've done something right.
Yeah, they said this, reach one. You know how they have the saying, reach one, teach one?
Yeah,
It's like reach one. That's an impact.
exactly. And all it takes is one.
All it takes is one.
People
That's
can
right.
be in a room and they feel like, oh, well, the crowd didn't give me what? Somebody heard you.
That's right. Yeah.
Somebody heard
heard them.
you. And that one person is the only one that matters.
Yeah, because that one person would actually still carry and tell someone else about your impact. So doesn't just stop with that person, because they're constantly sharing the impact you had on them. So it's
Right.
it really don't stop, there. But thank you both. Oh my God, it's been a beautiful Sunday. And
Yes,
I'm glad we got to do this.
me too. Me
I'm
too.
glad we got to do this.
thank you guys.
No problem at all. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Have a wonderful rest of your evening.
All right, you too.
Take care.